Hello, and welcome to the OriginMD channel. I've boosted the volume, so please let me know in the comments if you can hear me better or would prefer it to be quieter, like usual. In this deck, making your opponents discard cards is the centerpiece. We have 12 cards, or 20% of the deck, dedicated exactly to this. Since we have no cheap targeted discard, we have to resemble a machine gun and make the opponent discard everything. If he has no cards, we use those spells to draw additional cards. We control the threats on the board with targeted and mass removal spells. 5 sweepers are included due to the surging popularity of go wide aggro and mid-range decks. As for vehicles, we've got plenty of targeted instant speed removal. We control the graveyard with exile effects, and finish off with Planeswalker ultimates or a few other bombs, such as Kalitas, Ballista or Gearhulks. This deck is especially effective if the opponents are not playing an extremely fast deck. Seeing their cards disappear can lead to salty tears of control players. It's especially brutal if they end up discarding too many lands, and end up with expensive spells that are impossible to cast. Any ultra-fast deck runs the risk of getting board wipe, which means the discard control can be quite versatile, if it gets the right cards. Is it unbeatable? Of course not. It's not super consistent, but it can be a lot of fun. I wanted to make a dedicated discard control deck for a few seasons now. Previous attempts had to face the reality that they were too expensive at 4 mana. Furthermore, the only targeted discard effects were attached to Eldrazi, which can work pretty well, but didn't make the cut as they still needed a lot more setup to work, and by the time you cast them it might be too late. Whispers of Emrakul has an upside of making the opponent discard a card at random, but Delirium decks and Duels usually have better ways to spend 2 mana. Now, let's discuss each card in detail. We'll start off with one of the unique cards in the Aether Vault. It's the 2-drop or 4-drop. 8-drop, it's a very versatile card and can be helpful both in the early and the late game. This is an additional bonus for us, since Ballista can act as a mana sink if the game goes long. Fatal Push is our chip removal for all sorts of flying vehicles and other threats. Unsurprisingly, it's one of the most popular cards in the meta, according to the Magic Duels helper statistics. Scarab Feast is our way of dealing with the graveyard recursion decks. It can even be used to set back Planeswalkers. For example, if Nissa Vital Force tries to return a permanent to its owner's hand, Scarab Feast can exile it at instant speed, setting your opponent back, and at worst, it's a cycling cantrip. At 2 mana cost we have our array of discard and exile effects, to control the hand of your adversary. They require additional mana to activate, but this way you can start thinning out your opponent's hand from turn 3. Harness Lightning with Aether Hubs provides us with the needed instant speed removal for creatures. Murder gets rid of creatures too, that may be out of reach for the push and lightning. The main reason for not including Unlicensed Disintegration is that we use very little red spells, mainly our bombs that will be only played out late game. Unburden has been revitalized in Amonkhet and comes bearing the gift of salt. If the opponent doesn't have the cards we can target, we can cycle and draw a card, which is nice. Liliana the Last Hope is one of the most popular Planeswalkers in black. Unsurprisingly, she's included and can be the win condition if she stays on the field long enough. Kalitas is so good he is played in Modern. Why wouldn't we play him in a heavily black control deck? He's one of the best graveyard hate cards, and with the amount of removal we have, he can grow very fast and take over the game by himself. Languish has been around for almost 2 years, and is still as good as ever. Still takes on indestructible creatures and clears the board nicely. Yahenni's expertise works well in the meta, with a lot of creatures, and Amonkhet is no exception. As an added bonus, we can play out our discard spells and Liliana for free, making the resulting tempo swing overwhelming. Chandra, Torch of Defiance, can ramp us for mana, deal damage to the opponent, take a 4 toughness creature out, and her ultimate can win the game, a natural include in our deck. Ob Nixilis is the lone 5-drop that can draw cards for a price. His ultimate is one of our win conditions, so he is more than welcome to stay. Noxious Gearhulk can destroy creatures, and poses a significant threat if he is allowed to rampage on the field. Chandra Flamecaller is the top threat in our deck, can wipe the board and close out the game with her first ability. Never to Return is a good addition to our removal suite and works well against Planeswalkers and creatures. Surprisingly, Return also has synergies with Kalitas and ended up being used a lot more than you could expect. As for the mana base, we have 9 swamps, 4 mountains, 2 Smoldering Marsh, 2 Dragonskull Summits, 3 Aether Hubs, and 4 Walling Wilds for a total of 24 lands, so that we have a reasonable chance of not missing land drops in our first few turns. Now that we've discussed the deck, let's play. Alright, this is interesting. Do we keep this sort of hand? I think not. This is a bit more interesting. Let's go ahead and pop the Walling Wilds when it will be our opponent's turn. We do have double red here, which means we can just get a black source of mana. Thin out our deck as well. Our opponent plays blue. So if the game goes long, we might actually be in a decent position. Yeah, we can activate the Implement and get the Vessel of Malignity as well, which doesn't sound too bad. We can also play around Senza and go for the Vessel first. Alright, seems like there was no need to. Opponent plays out Chase, which seems to be the target for Feral Push. So yeah, let's see. Feral Push 1 mana and then the Vessel. And then next turn we can make him discard 1 card and exile 2. Or we can make him discard with Unburden, but we'll see how it goes. Alright. Sphinx's Tutelage. Well, well, well. We don't really have any enchantment removal or anything of this sort. So let's just thin out our opponent's hand a little. Looks like we'll need to get one of our win conditions soon. Definitely wouldn't say no to Chandra or Ob Nixilis in my hand rather than the graveyard. We have 2 return. Right, our opponent uses the Cathartic. He's going to draw plenty. So in the end he got some pretty good draws. Ob Nixilis is here. Let's see if we can get the Chandra or Liliana. Although Chandra would really be more helpful. Kalitas. Alright. Pretty sure I just want to unburden our opponent. He doesn't need so many cards in his hand. Alright, unfortunately for me he might have another draw spell. Let's see if he does. So, looks like we have to go for Kalitas. Alright. Yeah, life sucks against the mill. Alright, all our win conditions are discarded. Still we have to persist. Nope. Just not sure we're going to be able to survive this long. Alright. Most of our discard spells have already been put to the graveyard too, so yeah. Let's get rid of the Galvanic Bombardment here. Then let's attack. Let's sack the zombie. We hit our opponent for 7, but we have no more zombies. So the question is, does our opponent have more cantrips or draw cards? If he does, this might be game. Yeah. We're just one shot away from victory. But this might just be the difference between having another cathartic reunion, winning and losing. Let's see if he has a spell that allows him to draw. Alright. And it looks like we were quite a bit lucky. Our opponent will not be able to win. And this means that the discard control has claimed another victim. Alright, it's our turn. We've got quite a lot of removal here. Let's skip this hand. Start off with a swamp, then say go. Alright. Just one bite from the opponent. Right. I'd say we wait. See what else we're going to draw. This also frees us up for Harness Lightning, but our opponent is not playing anything yet. Interesting. So, do we play out the Walking Ballista? Alright, I'd say why not. Let's play out the Walking Ballista for 1. Then say go. Alright. A monument. So perhaps this is a go white strategy of White Weenie, at least judging from what I'm seeing at the moment. And Yahenni's expertise doesn't seem to be too bad. We'll have to grow our ballista a bit though, if we want it to survive Yahenni's. Alright. Gideon. Interesting. In our case, we can just perhaps use Never. Doesn't seem to be too bad. Alternatively, actually, what we can do is we can go for push. Then we can attack Gideon for 3 and then get rid of one of the counters. Alright, doesn't sound too bad. Push. Add a counter. Attack into Gideon. And then let him rest. And we can use Never Return on some other creature that might be problematic, or another Planeswalker, like another Gideon that he might have. Alright, he is going to have a Fleetwood Cruiser, which means that we'll have to get rid of our Ballista, since he can deal 3 damage. And we'll have to keep some mana open for murder. Right, we have Chandra, but I think I want to wait for our opponent to commit some creatures. To crew the Sky Sovereign. Alright, Trusty Companion. Yeah, come on. Yahenni's expertise. Oh wow, man. Our opponent is going to be so salty. This is just insane. He is going to be so salty after next turn. Wiping such a big board. It's been ages since I've done this. Yahenni's into Liliana. Will this be an instant concede? Anyway, we did get quite a lot of value here, and I don't blame our opponent. Let's finish this game. If I was in his shoes, I'd probably do exactly the same thing. Alright. We've got Never Return. And we've even got two of them. So we get rid of the token. We have only 5 mana, so we cannot cast Chandra as well. And since Never is a sorcery, might as well do it like that. Alright. Nothing has been cast, and I think that for speed we perhaps want Kalitas here. +1 Liliana. Alright. Implement of Malice. Why not? This lets us draw an additional card, sets him back. I'd like to see what exactly he has. Another monument. Alright, let's go ahead and attack. Liliana is just one turn away from using the ultimate. Alright, a true hard duelist. So we've got enough mana now, and anyway we have used the ultimate of Liliana. Let's see, we can use Never, but perhaps I think I want to use Never here. He is going to be exiled anyway. Now we can attack with Kalitas. Let's see, he doesn't block, which means we can sacrifice the zombie. Get int for 5 damage. And I think even like this will be enough to close out the game. Since our opponent drew more mana than even we did, a Harness Lightning will be enough to seal the deal. Alright. So let's keep this hand. We are going to go first, so I'd say let's go ahead and wait for our opponent to do something. And most likely I'll pull 1 red, since red is quite rare in our deck. Alright. We've got 2 mana. Do we go for something like an Evolving Wilds right now? Or do we shuffle away the Nest of Scarabs? Or go Walking Ballista? Let's say we wait. Well, let's go ahead and wait for our opponent's turn. We have the Feral Push if we want. We can cycle the nest. Grixis Colors. Nothing else. Let's draw a card. Another cycle. Yeah. What do we want? I think we might want to have double red still. And probably use the Scarab Feast for cycling as well. Alright. We didn't get any of our discard cards, and it's quite good against control, so this is a real pity. A counter spell is now possible. Alright, we got double red, double black. So the question is, what do we do? We can go for Kalitas, so that we'll bait out some counter spells for our Chandra and Ob Nixilis. Sounds reasonable. Opponent is sure to have some counter spell or removal spell, and he does have Scatter. Alright. This is all the better for us, since it looks like he has a lot of ways to deal with creatures. He might have plenty of counter spells. Languish is not going to be of much help. I still think we can go for a Walking Ballista. Alright, a Glimmer. So maybe he just wasn't that afraid of a Ballista here. Thing in the Ice. Interesting. Might have something like Censor still. No energy for you, and we do have a Languish as well as a Fatal Push. So I think we can actually go for Chandra and Fatal Push here. This is probably the most efficient way right now. Add some mana and the Fatal Push. Our opponent can activate the Wandering Fumarole and hit for 4. But this is still going to leave our Chandra at 1, which is good enough since we do have one more Fatal Push for the next turn. And if we get one more mana, this is even better since we can play out Ob Nixilis and save the Fatal Push for the Wandering Fumarole. Alright. No such thing, but let's see. Let's go ahead and +1 Chandra. Walking Ballista. Yeah, why not? Then say go. Alright, our opponent is at 2 mana. Let's see what else he does. Nothing. In this case, we can use the Vessel. Yeah, why not? Let's just go ahead and add some mana. Then we can use the Vessel once. Let's see. No lands, this is fine. Let's get another Vessel out. And I think we are going to attack, since I doubt our opponent has a lot of creatures with haste. Alright, unlicensed disintegration. We're going to hit our opponent for 2 additional damage. And that means that he has only 2 cards in hand. Plays out Chase. This is fine. Let's see. We can probably ramp and just go for an Ob Nixilis here. We don't want him to transform. So let's count. Let's count. We have... Let's go for +2 and see what we're going to get. Never. Well, why not? Let's use never. Then sacrifice the Vessel. Let's see what it was. It was another land. Alright. A Dinner Vault Tower. Interesting. So, he's only got 2 energy for now, and he needs 5 energy. Since he's sure not to have counter spells, let's go ahead and cast Ob Nixilis and draw an additional card. Alright, it's going to be some more mana, which means we can go for a return. Which creature do we want to get rid of? Probably want to get rid of a counter spell because he might have a Torrential Gearhulk. So let's get rid of the Scatter to the Winds. Let's say go. Alright, our opponent seems to be mana flooded. So I think we're just going to take it. Alright, our opponent plays first. We do have a Vessel as well as a Fatal Push. Unburden. Alright, let's keep this hand. Let's see what's up. Alright, we got all the sources of mana that we need. And we've got 3, which is quite nice. We do need one more swamp to be absolutely safe. Rancid Rats. Do we care? I think we don't even care. Getting hit for 1 is definitely not worth it to spend the Fatal Push on it. Alright, here comes the double black. So let's go for the Vessel. He might be on a zombie plan. Yep, indeed this seems to be the case. In which case it's better to use the Vessel, since this means he will have to exile the cards in his hand. Alternatively, we can first Unburden and Vessel afterwards. And we do have decent removal for the hordes of zombies that may come. So it's a difficult choice to make. I think I'm willing to go for Unburden first. See what he's going to exile. What he's going to discard, I mean. Alright. And then next turn he will have less choice on what he has to exile completely. Alright. Only 1 card in his hand. Hits for 3. Never to return. Also not too bad. Can we perhaps wait for him to cast out something else? We can trigger Revolt for Fatal Push using the Vessel. So I'm quite tempted to do that. Let's see which card was in his hand. It was a Never to Return. Actually, this is not so bad, for the simple reason that we have Planeswalkers as win conditions in our deck. So let's see what he does next. Kisses Beating. Alright, excellent. This means that we will be able to get some decent value out of our sweeper. Of course, he can still activate the Shambling Vent, so I definitely wouldn't say no to something good here. Alright. Lord of the Accursed. Well, I think that even like this, in a zombie deck, which it does seem to be the zombie deck, there are less threats for us that have more toughness. He can bring back his Wanderer and also has a Crypt Breaker. Alright. Crypt Breaker can be problematic. Just might go for Never. Alright, we got ourselves a Chandra. Let's see. We can skip the attack this turn and just go for Never on the Crypt Breaker after we use Chandra and her mana ability. Or we can be more aggressive. He can attack for 4 next turn. I think I'm simply not going to attack. I'm going to go for Chandra. Use the +2, +1 ability. It's Murder, not going to attack. Alright, loaded the Accursed. Let's see if he's going to attack into Chandra. No, instead he's going to draw a card. Alright, I don't think this is a bad choice. And he plays out another mana source. But this also means we'll be able to attack and go for Yahenni's Expertise. I think we will cycle the Scarab Feast. Right, also quite good. Let's +1 Chandra. It's going to be a land, which means it's time to attack first. Then use Yahenni's Expertise to wipe the board and say go. And I don't really mind if he's going to attack with the Shambling Vent. Since he won't be able to bring back the Dread Wanderer. And he's already at 10 life, which means we are quite close to victory. Alright. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And let's attack with the Noxious Gearhulk. Then we can activate Chandra's mana ability for the maximum counters on the Ballista. Here we go. So he goes for 2. Yep. I'll let him do that. Another Walking Ballista. In this case, we can just attack. And it looks like we're going to win anyway. He will have to double block like that. We hit for 4. Then we can just use the counters to close out the game. I'd like to thank you for watching and see you in the next video.